Welcome to our video about the fascinating world of Pokemon and their placement on the Tree of Life. Today we take a closer look at Hitmonlee and its relationship with Clefable. Ready? Let's go! Euarchonta is a clade that includes primates, colugos, grouped together as Primatomorpha, and tree shrews. The Euarchonta were established in 1999 based on genetic studies, which excluded bats, Chiroptera, from the previously morphologically defined group Archonta. The extinct order Plesiadapiformes is considered the sister group to primates within Euarchonta. Current data, extrapolated using the molecular clock, suggests that Euarchonta originated in the Cretaceous period around 88 million years ago. By approximately 86.2 million years ago, they had already split into the tree shrew lineage and the Primatomorpha. The latter further diverged around 79.6 million years ago into the orders of primates and colugos. The earliest fossil species, often ascribed to Euarchonta, Purgatorius coracis, dates to the early Paleocene, 65 million years ago, but one study claims it to be a non-placental eutherian. Although it is known that Scandentia is one of the most basal clades of Euarchonta glyres, the exact phylogenetic position is not yet considered resolved, and it may be a sister of glyres, Primatomorpha or Dermoptera, or to all other Euarchonta glyres. Primates are an order within the subclass of higher mammals, Eutheria, belonging to the superorder Euarchonta glyres. Their study is the focus of primatology. The term monkeys is sometimes used to refer to this order, but it is misleading, as monkeys represent only a subgroup. Primates are divided into two suborders, the Strepsirrhini, wet-nosed primates, and the Haplorhini, dry-nosed primates, the latter of which includes the great apes, Hominidae, including humans, Homo sapiens. With the exception of humans, who have achieved global distribution, the habitats of other primates are largely restricted to the tropical and subtropical regions of the Americas, Africa, and Asia. In the Americas, their current range extends from southern Mexico to northern Argentina. Species once native to the Caribbean islands, such as the Antillean monkeys, Xenotrichini, are now extinct. Today, only animals introduced by humans inhabit these islands. In Africa, primates are widespread, with the highest species density found in regions south of the Sahara. Madagascar hosts a unique primate fauna composed exclusively of wet-nosed primates, namely the lemurs. In Asia, primates are found across the Arabian Peninsula, though the Hamadryas baboon living there may have been introduced by humans. The Indian subcontinent, China, Japan, and Southeast Asia. Their easternmost range includes the islands of Sulawesi and Timor. In Europe, only one species lives in the wild, the Barbary macaque in Gibraltar, though this population was likely introduced by humans. Non-human primates are absent from Central and Northern North America, most of Europe, Northern and Central Asia, the Australasian region, remote islands, and the polar regions. Unlike other mammalian groups, primates have not been widely established by humans in new regions. Exceptions include the aforementioned Hamadryas baboons on the Arabian Peninsula and Barbary macaques in Gibraltar, as well as small populations such as the green monkey brought to St. Kitts by African slaves, and a group of rhesus macaques in Florida. Although primates form a relatively well-defined mammalian order, there are few traits that are found in all primates and in no other mammals. Nevertheless, according to biologist Robert Martin, 9 characteristics can be identified as typical of the primate order. The big toe is opposable, except in humans, and the hands are adapted for grasping. Most species have flat nails on their hands and feet, no claws. Additionally, primates have fingerprints. Locomotion is dominated by the hind limbs, with the center of gravity closer to the rear extremities. Olfactory perception is unspecialized and reduced in diurnal primates. Visual perception is highly developed. The eyes are large and forward-facing, enabling stereoscopic vision. Females have small litter sizes. Pregnancy and weaning periods are longer than in other mammals of comparable size. The brains are relatively larger than those of other mammals and exhibit some unique anatomical features. The molars are relatively unspecialized, with a maximum of 3. There are also up to 2 incisors, 1 canine and 3 premolars per quadrant. There are additional subtle anatomical traits, useful for systematics, that are difficult to classify functionally. The smallest primate species is Berth's mouse lemur, with a head body length of less than 10 centimeters and a maximum weight of 38 grams. The largest are gorillas, which can weigh up to 275 kilograms. In general, wet-nosed primates average around 500 grams in weight, while dry-nosed primates average about 5 kilograms. This difference is partly due to their differing activity patterns. See below. Some species exhibit pronounced sexual dimorphism, with males of certain species weighing twice as much as females and differing in fur coloration, e.g., the Hamadryas baboon. Most primates have fur covering their bodies, with coloration ranging from white to gray, brown, and black. The palms and soles are usually hairless, and in some species, the face or entire head is also bare, e.g., Euarchonta. Humans are the least hairy of all primates. The oldest known fossil primates had a dental formula of 2:1:4:3, meaning 2 incisors, 1 canine, 4 premolars, and 3 molars per jaw quadrant, totaling 40 teeth. The maximum dental formula of living primates is 2:1:3:3, found in species like lemurs and capuchins. Some genera have lost additional teeth due to dietary adaptations. For example, weasel lemurs lack upper incisors. The fewest teeth among all living primates are found in the ii, which has only 18 teeth, lacking canines and having just 1 incisor per jaw quadrant. Old World monkeys, including humans, have a dental formula of 2:1:2:3, totaling 32 teeth. The shape of the molars, in particular, provides insight into diet. Species that primarily eat fruit tend to have rounded molars. Insectivorous species have noticeably sharp molars, and leaf eaters possess molars with sharp edges designed to break down tough foliage. Since most primate species are arboreal, their limbs are adapted to life in the trees. The hind legs are almost always longer and stronger than the forelimbs. Exceptions include gibbons and non-human great apes, and they bear the greater share of locomotion. This trait is especially pronounced in leaping primates and in humans. In species that swing through branches, brachiation, the thumb is reduced or absent, for example in spider monkeys and colobus monkeys. Wet-nosed primates have a grooming claw on the second toe, used for fur maintenance. The undersides of the hands and feet are hairless and equipped with sensitive tactile pads. For many tree-dwelling mammals, a long tail serves as an important organ for balance and coordination, and this is true for most primates as well. However, the tail may be reduced or entirely absent. With the exception of the great apes, which are generally tailless, tail length is not a reliable indicator of relatedness, as short tails occur independently across various species. Even within a single genus, Macaca, there are tailless species, e.g., the Barbary macaque, and species with tails longer than their bodies, e.g., the crab-eating macaque. Only a few genera of New World monkeys have developed prehensile tails, such as the spider monkeys and howler monkeys. These tails are hairless on the underside and equipped with sensitive nerve endings. It is believed that primates evolved from tree-dwelling ancestors, and many species today remain strictly arboreal, rarely descending to the ground. Other species are partially terrestrial, such as baboons and potus monkeys. Only a few species are fully ground-dwelling, including the gelada and humans. Primates inhabit a wide variety of forest types, including tropical rainforests, mangrove forests, and even mountain forests at elevations above 3,000 meters. Although primates are generally considered water-shy, there are species that swim well and willingly, such as the proboscis monkey and the swamp monkey, the latter of which has even developed small webbing between its fingers. Some synanthropic species, those that thrive in human-altered environments, have made cities and villages their home. For example, rhesus macaques and Hanuman langurs. In simplified terms, wet-nosed primates are usually nocturnal. Exceptions include Indris, Sophocus, and ruffed lemurs, while dry-nosed primates are typically diurnal. Exceptions include tarsiers and night monkeys. These differing activity patterns are also reflected in their physical structure. Within both suborders, nocturnal species tend to be smaller on average than their diurnal counterparts. Another adaptation to nocturnal activity is the enhanced sense of smell found in wet-nosed primates. Similar to other mammals, species that primarily feed on leaves tend to have longer resting periods to compensate for the low nutritional value of their diet. Primates use various forms of locomotion, which are reflected in different anatomical adaptations and are influenced by their habitat. The following types can be distinguished. Climbing and leaping. This involves primarily vertical trunks. Leaping primates have especially strong hind limbs. Slow climbing. Typical of lorises, who move deliberately through the branches and maintain a firm grip. Brachiation, arm swinging. The body is swung through the trees using powerful arms. This method is seen in spider monkeys and orangutans and perfected in gibbons. Quadrupedal movement in trees. This involves walking on horizontal branches using all four limbs. Quadrupedal movement on the ground. Baboons place their toes and fingers flat on the ground, plantar, palmar, while gorillas and chimpanzees walk on the backs of their second finger joints, a method known as knuckle walking. Bipedalism. Walking upright on two legs is practiced temporarily by several primate species, but true bipedal locomotion is found only in humans and their ancestors, homininae. Most primates have developed complex social behaviors. True solitary lifestyles are rare. Even in species that mostly live alone, such as orangutans, the territories of males and females often overlap, and mating tends to occur between individuals from these overlapping areas. Some species form long-term monogamous relationships, for example, Indris and gibbons. However, many primates live in groups. These may be harem or single male groups, where one male gathers multiple females, or mixed groups with several sexually mature males and females living together. Within groups, a hierarchy is usually established, influenced by age, kinship, conflict, and other factors. Likely linked to increasing brain size, parental care is relatively well developed. Communication and interaction also play a significant role. Many species have a wide range of vocalizations used for territory marking, locating group members, issuing threats, or warning of predators. Particularly well known are the jungle choruses of howler monkeys and the duet songs of gibbon pairs. Humans are the only primates to use a truly complex vocal system, language. Body postures and facial expressions can also serve as forms of communication. Another important form of interaction is mutual grooming. In wet-nosed primates, the sense of smell plays a more prominent role. Territories are often marked with scent glands or urine. In the 20th century, the sociology of primates was notably studied by the German psychiatrist Detlef Plug. Among primates, there is considerable variability in dietary habits. Nevertheless, some generalizations can be made. All primates rely on at least one food source rich in protein and one rich in carbohydrates. For prosimians, insects and plant gum are the main sources of protein and carbohydrates, respectively. For monkeys and apes, insects and young leaves or fruits typically serve as the primary sources of protein and carbohydrates. Most primates favor certain types of food over others. Scientists use terms like frugivores, folivores, insectivores, and gummivores to describe species that primarily consume fruits, leaves, insects, or plant gum. Insectivores tend to be smaller than frugivores, and frugivores are generally smaller than folivores. This is because smaller animals require relatively more energy and thus need fast access, high-quality food, whereas larger animals can afford to consume lower-quality food more slowly. It is likely that the ancestors of primates were insectivores. However, most species today are primarily herbivorous. For many species, fruits make up the bulk of their diet, supplemented by leaves, flowers, tubers, fungi, seeds, nuts, tree sap, and other plant parts. Many species are omnivores, consuming both plant and animal matter, especially insects, spiders, bird eggs, and small vertebrates. Genera such as baboons and chimpanzees occasionally hunt larger mammals, including hares, small primates, and young ungulates. Primates are among the few vertebrates that cannot synthesize the essential vitamin C and must obtain it through their diet. Folivorous species exhibit special adaptations. Colobus monkeys have a multi-chambered stomach where microorganisms break down cellulose, similar to ruminants or some kangaroo species. Howler monkeys and gorillas have an enlarged colon that serves the same purpose. True carnivores are rare among primates, but examples include insectivorous species like tarsiers and fork-marked lemurs. Because the food supply for folivores tends to be temporally and spatially uniform and predictable, their home ranges are usually smaller than those of frugivores and insectivores. The oldest fossil finds that can be definitively assigned to primates date back to the early Eocene, around 55 million years ago. These fossils, such as those of the dry-nosed primate Tailhardina, already show the split into two suborders, suggesting that the origin of primates likely lies in the late Cretaceous, around 80 to 90 million years ago. There are some finds from the late Cretaceous and Paleocene, such as Purgatorius and the Plesiadapiformes, that are sometimes considered the earliest known primates. However, their classification is debated, and many researchers regard them as a separate mammalian order. According to molecular biology data, wet-nosed and dry-nosed primates diverged from each other about 70 million years ago. The last common ancestor of all living wet-nosed primates lived around 57 million years ago, that of dry-nosed primates around 66 million years ago, and the ancestor of monkeys likely around 42 million years ago. Eocene fossil finds are attributed to the apiforms and the Omomyidae, a family similar to tarsiers, and are known from Africa, Asia, Europe, and North America. While primates went extinct in North America during the Oligocene, they continued to evolve on other continents. The New World monkeys of the Americas have been documented in the fossil record for about 35 million years, with the oldest known genus being Perupithecus. From the Miocene epoch, ancestors of most modern primate families are known, except for the primates of Madagascar, likely due to a poor fossil record. In Europe, non-human primates from the family Cercopithecidae, Old World monkeys, became extinct during the Pleistocene. Humans, Homo sapiens, have spread across the globe in an unprecedented manner over the past 100,000 years. Today, primates can be found on every continent except Antarctica, which lacks permanent human settlements. The great apes, or hominidae, form a family within the primate order. This family includes 2 subfamilies, 4 genera, and 8 recognized extant species. It also encompasses fossil ancestors of these 8 species, as well as extinct relatives that are not direct ancestors, such as Gigantopithecus and the Neanderthal. The global distribution of living hominids is solely due to the expansion of humans from Africa. All other great apes are confined to tropical regions in Africa and Southeast Asia and are considered endangered. In a broader sense, the term great apes is also used to refer to the superfamily Hominoidea, which includes the gibbons, often called lesser apes, in contrast to the great apes described here. As reconstructions of ape phylogeny have become more precise, the definitions of hominids and great apes have evolved. Previously, hominids, hominidae, referred only to anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, and their closest fossil relatives, while chimpanzees, gorillas, gorilla, and orangutans, pongo, were placed in a separate family called Pongidae, pongids, or simply great apes. This classification is now outdated due to phylogenetic findings showing that chimpanzees and gorillas are more closely related to humans than to orangutans. As a result, humans and their extinct relatives are now grouped together with chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans in a single family, Hominidae. The term great apes remains imprecise. Outside of strict cladistic contexts and in everyday language, it is still commonly used to refer to all non-human hominids. Great apes are the largest living primates. Their weight ranges from about 25 kilograms, female chimpanzees, to 200 kilograms, male gorillas, and their standing height varies from roughly 1 to 2 meters. All species exhibit pronounced sexual dimorphism. Males are often larger and significantly heavier than females. In orangutans and gorillas, they frequently weigh twice as much. Great apes are robustly built creatures, characterized by a relatively short torso and a broad chest. Like all hominoids, they lack a tail. Their broad pelvis, reduced number of lumbar vertebrae compared to quadrupedal mammals, and a slight curvature of the spine near the sacrum are associated with a partially upright posture, most pronounced in humans. This form of locomotion has led to several morphological adaptations, such as the spine, double S-shaped in humans, single curve in other apes, the pelvis, short and wide in humans, longer and narrower in other apes. Their fur is less dense than that of other primates, reddish-brown in orangutans, blackish-brown in gorillas and chimpanzees. In humans, hair color varies, and the body hair is generally shorter, finer, and less pigmented, though not vestigial. The reasons for this trait remain debated. Along with gibbons, great apes, excluding humans, are among the few primates whose forelimbs are longer than their hind limbs. The long arms of non-human great apes are adaptations for suspensory locomotion, hanging from branches, while the elongated and specialized hind limbs of humans support bipedal movement. The shoulder joint has shifted backward compared to other primates. As a result, the clavicle is elongated. The shoulder blade lies on the back. This allows for high mobility of the upper arms. Their arms are very strong, hands are large, fingers, except in humans, are curved, and the thumb is opposable. Fingers and toes, like in many primates, are equipped with nails. In humans, the hands no longer serve a locomotor function. Thanks to slender fingers and highly mobile thumbs, they offer enhanced dexterity. In all great apes except humans, the legs are bent, and the big toe is strong and opposable. In humans, the legs are straight and significantly longer than the arms due to their specialized mode of locomotion. The foot has evolved into an arch support structure, and the opposability of the big toe has been lost over time. Compared to other primates, great apes have relatively large and rounded skulls. The cranial cavity houses a proportionally large brain. Several species exhibit prominent skull features, such as brow ridges, gorillas and chimpanzees, sagittal and nuchal crests, ridges on the top and back of the head for muscle attachment, seen in male gorillas and orangutans, cheek flanges. However, cheek pouches are absent. The eyes are large and forward-facing, the ears are round and hairless. The nostrils, as in all catarrhine primates, are close together and point forward or downward. Like all Old World monkeys, great apes have 32 teeth. The dental formula is I2C1, P2, M3. In humans, a partial reduction of the third molars, wisdom teeth, is often observed. The structure of the teeth in each species depends on its diet. However, all great apes share relatively low molar crowns with similarly arranged cusps. The human dentition differs from that of other species in several ways. The canine teeth are small, not tusk-like, and show no sexual dimorphism, whereas in other species, males have significantly larger canines than females. The shape of the dental arch is parabolic in humans, while it is U-shaped in other apes. Humans also lack the diastema, ape gap, a space between the incisors and canines. These modifications in the human dentition may represent adaptations to the artificial processing of food. Except for humans, the distribution of great apes today is limited to tropical regions. Central Africa, chimpanzees and gorillas, Southeast Asian islands of Sumatra and Borneo, orangutans. Modern great apes are primarily forest dwellers, inhabiting tropical rainforests and other types of tropical woodland. Only the common chimpanzee is also found in savanna regions. Fossil evidence from Europe shows that relatives of early ancestors of today's great apes, such as the Dryopithecines, e.g. Oranopithecus macedoniensis, inhabited Europe until about 7 million years ago. Unlike other primates, humans have achieved global distribution, with permanent settlements in nearly every habitat except Antarctica. Humans have lived for millennia in diverse environments, including grasslands, deserts, mountain regions, and even Arctic zones. Due to deforestation and poaching, humans have pushed their closest relatives to the brink of extinction. Since around 1985, populations of great apes in Africa and Asia have declined by up to 60%. Non-human great apes spend varying amounts of time in trees or on the ground, depending on the species. Orangutans are the most arboreal. Mountain gorillas spend most of their time on the ground. In trees, great apes climb using all four limbs or move in a suspensory, hanging manner. Sometimes they walk along branches using their hind legs. On the ground, they typically move quadrupedally. Except for humans, great apes can only walk short distances on two legs. Chimpanzees and gorillas use knuckle walking, placing the second and third finger joints on the ground. Orangutans, in contrast, support themselves on their fists or the inner edges of their hands. Humans, by contrast, are strictly terrestrial. Among all primates, only geladas exhibit a similarly exclusive ground-dwelling lifestyle. Humans also move with obligatory bipedalism, a trait unique among mammals. Although this form of locomotion is not particularly fast, recent findings suggest it is energy efficient and offers the advantage of freeing the hands from locomotor functions. This allowed for the development of a highly specialized grasping hand. Like all Old World monkeys, great apes are diurnal. For nighttime rest, non-human great apes typically build nests in trees using leaves and branches. This process usually takes no more than 5 minutes, and a new nest is typically constructed each night. They often take short midday rests as well. Social structures vary greatly among genera and species, and even within a single species, different forms of social organization can be observed. One reason for this diversity may be the relatively high intelligence of these animals compared to other primates, which allows for greater flexibility in social interactions based on memory and individual-specific relationships. Unlike many other primates, great apes rarely exhibit matrilineal organization, where a group of closely related females forms the core of the group, as females often leave their natal group. Orangutans tend to lead solitary lives, although males do interact with females whose territories overlap with theirs. Gorillas typically live in harem groups, one male and several females. Dominant males are visually distinguished by the silver coloration on their backs. Chimpanzees display more variable group behavior, known as the fission-fusion model, where temporary subgroups form and dissolve flexibly. Human social structure is highly variable. In addition to monogamous and polygynous arrangements, polyandrous and promiscuous forms also occur, though less commonly. A typical or original social structure cannot be definitively identified, as human behavior is heavily influenced by culture. Attempts to infer the original social behavior of humans through morphological comparisons, such as the idea that primates with pronounced sexual dimorphism in body weight tend to live in harem groups, while those without differences in canine size are more likely to be monogamous, are highly questionable. Great apes communicate through a wide range of vocalizations with distinct meanings, as well as through facial expressions, gestures, and body postures. While all these forms are present in both humans and other great apes, complex spoken language is unique to humans. Great apes also exhibit various forms of tool use. They not only use available materials, but also deliberately modify objects, for example, shaping sticks for specific purposes. In the wild, the extent of tool use varies significantly among species. The most diverse forms are found in humans, considerably fewer in common chimpanzees, and even less in gorillas and orangutans. Only relatively recently have studies confirmed tool use in bonobos. In contrast, animals in human care exhibit a wide range of tool use across all genera. There are also forms of self-medication. Gorillas and chimpanzees, for example, swallow spiky, tannin-rich leaves that scrape parasites from the intestinal walls. Among hominins, the oldest known stone tools date back about 2.5 million years, marking the beginning of the Stone Age. The deliberate shaping of stones is a behavior not observed in other great apes. None of these behaviors are instinctive. They are learned through observation and passed on within populations. For instance, different populations of common chimpanzees exhibit distinct forms of tool use, with no single method found across all groups. The study of great ape evolution has long been driven by the elusive question of where the boundary lies between pre-humans and true humans, the so-called missing link. Fossil evidence shows that hominoids flourished during the early Miocene, with numerous genera emerging. The gibbons and great apes alive today represent only a small yet specialized remnant of this once diverse group. In earlier times, the divergence between humans and great apes was thought to have occurred much earlier than current research suggests. As a result, some genera were prematurely classified as ancestors of either humans or great apes. Today, genera such as Dryopithecus, Oreopithecus, and Proconsul are no longer considered part of the great apes in the narrow sense, Hominidae, but rather belong to the broader group of hominoids, Hominoidea. Sparse fossil evidence still makes precise classification difficult. The emergence of great apes as a distinct anatomical taxon is now dated to around 18 to 15 million years ago. As noted earlier, the split between the Asian and African lineages of great apes occurred significantly earlier than the diversification of the modern African great ape species. The Asian lineage, Ponginae, includes only the orangutans as surviving members. However, several fossil genera are also classified within Ponginae, such as Civipithecus, Anchoropithecus, the gigantic Gigantopithecus, Lufangpithecus and Koratpithecus. The African lineage, Homininae, gave rise to gorillas, chimpanzees, and humans. The gorilla line was the first to branch off. The presumed gorilla ancestor Koratpithecus is dated to around 10 million years ago. The split between humans and chimpanzees is estimated to have occurred about 6 million years ago. Humans and their immediate ancestors are classified within the group known as hominini. The term hominids for this group originates from a time when humans and great apes were placed in two separate families. Today, however, the term is also used more broadly to refer to all great apes. Among the oldest possible members of the homini are Sahelanthropus and Orrorin, which have been dated to between 7 and 6 million years ago. The earliest fossil finds, interpreted as at least close relatives of human ancestors, date to the early Pliocene, approximately 4.4 to 4 million years ago. These include especially the species of the genus Australopithecus. Around 2.5 to 2 million years ago, the genus Homo emerged, whose only surviving species today is anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens. And then the fun sign-off. That's it for now. In the next episode, we take a closer look at Hitmonchan and its surprising connection to Hitmonlee. Feel free to subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and check in next time.